Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Patters, and this is Raging Blast 2, a game that's been around my channel for quite a while now. I did a lot of duels, and that's pretty much it. Just some duels. I posted some videos of it on the Outer Alliance, and I thought I'd do a review on it. So here we go. So yeah, Raging Blast 2 was released in November of 2010. It was released in the 2nd for the USA, the 11th for Japan, and the 5th for both Europe and Australia. Now this is a sequel to the original Raging Blast and is almost identical in most ways, but there are some significant differences that will become apparent later on, and if you've played the game you'll notice that there are some gameplay changes and most of all just menu and mode changes that will make it unique and separate from Raging Blast itself, and the original Raging Blast, and the other Dragon Ball games. So yeah, here we go. Alright, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about the modes available to you. Now, first off, the first thing you'll notice is, right off the bat, is there is no definitive story mode. That has been completely removed from Raging Blast 2, from Raging Blast 1, and there is no story mode in this game. Instead, it has been replaced with a galaxy mode, where you go through each character's galaxy mode. There's no real story to it, and you do different kinds of missions, which may be, you know, defeat someone within a certain time, defeat someone, or like get as much damage as possible on a certain person, or try and defeat a group of people without getting hit at all, which is pretty difficult. And I kind of like the Galaxy mode. It was a good addition to the game, how it kind of put the challenge level up a bit. But why did you have to remove story mode? That's something I don't really get. Is, okay, so people asked for something new. They said, okay, we've had the same thing over and over again. We've had the story mode and sort of word tournaments, which I'm going to talk about later. We want something new. So the game developers like, yeah, sure, we'll do something new for you. But so they invented the Galaxy mode, and everyone's like, oh, cool, Galaxy mode. But they took out the story mode, and like, what? Why do I have to, you know, buy 2 games to get the full experience? Why can't I have Galaxy mode and story mode in the same game? I don't really see how they had to take out story mode just to accommodate it. Was there not enough room in the disc? Was there some other problems? Or, I don't know, if there was something wrong when development. I mean, Raging Blast 1 had a decent story modes. You couldn't just sort of incorporate that into it, maybe make a little bit changes to make it unique. I don't know. Some of the other modes you can play is Battle Zone, which is kind of just, I don't know, you battle your way through different fights and get to the top, and then complete that zone by finding a boss a boss character, or something like that, and then you move on to the next zone. I think there's something like, I don't know, 10 zones? I have no idea. It's been a while since I played those. And they're decently challenging because you have to beat them all without losing. If you lose once, I think you have to go back to the beginning. And the last real thing is sort of, you get training and tutorials and all that stuff, and practice and duels, which is basically what you've come to expect from a Dragon Ball game. And you get the World Tournament, which is also something that's been in previous games. It's pretty much the same as before, although you do get many options to choose if you want to edit your World Tournament and make it sort of unique. It's not really much. You can choose like Saiyans only, Cell Saga only, or whatever you want, Androids only, even though there's something like, I don't know, there's not many Androids to choose from. So if you wanted to do that, the option's there, and you can choose how many people you want in the tournament. It goes up in 4s or something. There's some, I think there's like 4, 8, and 16 to choose from. Not the widest thing ever, but I suppose it kind of makes sense. And you have things like Ultimate Customize, where you can go and change, make different classes for your characters and beef them up a little bit, which is cool if you want to, you know, put your own unique customization onto your characters. So that's always nice. And yeah. Alright, so let's talk about the characters. And to start off, I can't for the life of me figure out why they decide to have a massive amount of characters in one game, example Budokai Tenkaichi 3, and then take them all away again in the next game. You know, when you make a new game, you're supposed to improve on what you already have, not remove things that were already, you know, great. And for some reason, they decided to take away a lot of the characters in Raging Blast, the first game, but quite a few made a return in Raging Blast 2, and we have around 66 characters, which is not including transformations, in Raging Blast 2, including a few new ones that have never been in a Dragon Ball game before, including, you know, Android 14, Android 15, Hachiak, and Tarble. Hachiak, of course, being in the special movie type thing you get in the game, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, most of the characters kind of function mostly the same in their battle styles and things, but there are some definite differences, like their signature moves, energy blast stuff, all that kind of stuff, and they have different combos and things. So I don't think I'm really satisfied with the amount of characters that were included, but it's a good amount. You're not going to get bored too easily, and it's not like in Budokai Tenkaichi 3 when you just look at the amount, it's like, whoa, where do I start? You're like, oh, okay, I've got all these guys. Then I can move on to whatever, and I can unlock this guy and stuff like that. You have a clear set thing of what you have and what you need to do, which is, it's pretty cool. It makes things a lot simpler, and yeah, but the fact that it chose to take out a lot of the characters is pretty not cool, especially since, you know, characters are a pretty pivotal part of Dragon Ball games, as most of it just comes down to the characters, and you have one-on-one fights, you know, you're going to want to pick your favorite ones, and a lot of them, like the GT characters, have been totally taken out in the original Dragon Ball ones. They might as well just call this Dragon Ball Z Raging Blast, even though it's just called Dragon Ball Raging Blast, but it doesn't really incorporate any of the characters from the original Dragon Ball series and GT, so I don't know what they were thinking about there, so that's just my opinion. Alright, so let's talk about the soundtrack. Now, there's a bit of controversy surrounding the soundtrack because one of the person who created the music for the original Raging Blast 2, it was found out that he'd violated many copyright rules and restrictions and laws and things, and had taken music from other artists and songs and used it in his own work to put into Raging Blast 2. And when that was found out, the original Raging Blast 2 soundtrack was replaced with the soundtrack that came in Budokai Tenkaichi 2. And now, I'm not complaining, as Budokai Tenkaichi 2 had quite a decent soundtrack. I liked it. It's very nice. And I have the disc I have now, the game I have, it has the Budokai Tenkaichi 2 soundtrack instead of the original one. I'm not really sure if you can find the original one anymore, or if there's many circulating the internet or the eBays, or even still in game shops. I have no idea. But I have the Tenkaichi 2 ones, and it's not that big of a sacrifice. You know, it's still pretty cool, and you know, it's not that big of a deal when you think about it. So yeah, I give the soundtrack a big fan thumbs up. Although there was some stuff surrounding that wasn't so savory, or I don't know, sweet, whatever. The gameplay in Raging Blast 2 is widely similar to the original Raging Blast. In fact, it's almost identical to Raging Blast, and somewhat similar to the gameplay of the Budokai Tenkaichi series, but there are some slight differences, and like you can see some slight differences when playing Raging Blast 2. It's it's kind of more fluent and more, I don't know, well put together compared to the original Raging Blast, although there isn't much to say about it. In the gameplay itself, you can do the same things as you always could: transform, use special moves, ultimates, and things like that, and charge up your ki to use said specials and ultimates and transform. You can also switch between tag teammates if you have any, and do fusion if you can. So, all in all, there isn't all that much change compared to the original Raging Blast. The gameplay is still pretty good, well put together, although there is some really easy combos that you can just keep on spamming in order to win. And the gameplay itself is not too difficult when you play it. So, it's not the hardest thing ever, but it's decent in its own right, and there's nothing really wrong with it apart from the fact that it's pretty much the same as the Raging Blast original. And yeah, so there's not much to really say about it apart from that. And so we'll move on to the next section. The venues, or maps as you might call them, are also a very important part of the Raging Blast, or rather the Dragon Ball series of games, as they are, you know, a pivotal part, and they have to at least resemble the anime or whatever they were taken from, and they need to be sort of decent open area if you're going for that. They have some enclosed ones like the World Tournament stage, and most of the venues or maps are pretty much similar to the original Raging Blast. And the original Raging Blast didn't have too many. It had things like World Tournament, as you'd expect, Planet Namek, Ruined Planet Namek, and things like Cell Games and Supreme Kai's World. And now some new ones that Raging Blast 2 introduced were things like the Temple, which for some reason wasn't in Raging Blast 1. I have no idea why. And Underworld, Glacia, and the Dark Planet, or the Space Planets thing that you can see. Unfortunately, they seem to leave out some ones like the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, and I'm not sure why they did that. It's pretty obvious that it should have been in the game, but, you know, it's not that too big of a a complaint. And the venues are pretty, you know, okay. They're pretty unique, I guess, and it's okay. It's not really something you think about when you're fighting on them, but it's nice to have a sort of change of scenery and something unique to play on. Alright, so all in all, I'm going to give Raging Blast 2 a 7 out of 10, because while it is a pretty good game, it's a pretty good Dragon Ball game, it's not the worst thing ever, but of course it's not the best thing ever, and they decided to leave a lot of things out, possibly for other games in the future, and the fact that they don't want to make a definitive Dragon Ball game that has everything you could ever want in it, because, you know, they wouldn't be able to sell anymore after that, because they kind of have, the consumers will have the perfect one and they won't want to buy anymore. Of course, you can, you know, upgrade things and stuff like that, but it's not, there's nothing really more you can add to it after that, so a lot, the sales would drop by a lot, and so Raging Blast 2 gets a 7 out of 10. It's not the greatest thing ever, but it's pretty good. It's got decent graphics, decent character models, they look pretty good. It's got a wide range of characters they can use. It's only from Dragon Ball Z though, so that might be something you want to keep in mind when buying it. There are no GT or original Dragon Ball characters in the game, so if that's something you want to see, then I'm afraid Raging Blast 2 will not be your cup of tea. But it's a decent game, it's pretty good, I enjoy playing it. I'm probably going to post more stuff of that in the future. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this was good enough for you. I hope you learned some stuff from this. What am I talking about? You're not going to learn much from this. Yeah, that was just my personal opinions on the game. And yeah, so thank you for watching, guys.